Okay. So with this unit, we're going over real estate brokerage. We talked about how real estate is the business of bringing parties together, right? We talked about the relationship, and that's where we're kind of going now, the relationship of the broker and the sales associate. So when we talk about the relationship, we're going to be talking about how the salesperson is performing duties with the authorization of the broker, right? That pretty much makes sense to everybody. Um, and that broker is going to be your, they're not your employer, but they're your employing broker. So remember, you still might be a independent contractor, but technically they're called an employing broker because people don't like to say it out loud. They don't want to say it because it feels it's not politically correct type of thing. But guess what? You work for that broker. If you're a salesperson, even if you're an independent contractor, there's certain things that they cannot demand from you. But you know what? You work under that person, and that person ultimately is going to be responsible for your actions, right? Ultimately, they're going to have to make sure that you are following ethics and so forth. And if you don't, God forbid, could that broker be held responsible? Yes. So you want to make sure that you're doing the right thing at all times. You're going to have to make sure that you have an independent contractor agreement, right? And so that's important to have. You're going to want to make sure that you understand what are the, I hate to use the word demands, but the demands or the requests or the policies of your broker. So let's talk about the difference between independent contractor versus employee. Okay. So the first thing, and what I'm going to do is only because I'm getting a lot of feedback from someone, right, is I'm going to try to pin. Can you try to put yourself on mute? And then if you need to speak, one of the things that I learned from using Zoom is that you can hold down the space bar and you can unmute yourself temporarily, which is kind of cool because I'm still going to ask you questions. All right. So let's talk about the difference between an independent contractor and an employee. So can you be an employee and still do real estate? Can you be an employee for your broker? Is there such a thing?
Yeah, you can still be an employee.
Yeah. Now, the vast majority here in Connecticut are independent contractors. There used to be a company, which they're still in business nationwide, called Zip Realty, right? But they're not in Connecticut anymore. And they used to have their salespeople being employees. But there's a whole other set of rules when it comes to having an employee versus a independent contractor. Okay. So now here's when I kind of give you my opinion, which is not always agreed to by other people, and that's fine. But I'm going to be straight up what I feel. If you are a true business person, you're an entrepreneurial type of person, you want to make money. If you're that type of person, usually you don't want a ceiling put on your income. You want to be able to work when you want to work and make as much money as you want to make, right? So the way that the IRS, the Internal Revenue Service, looks at it is that it's a privilege to be treated as an independent contractor. And you might be like, well, why is it a privilege? Do you get paid for sick days when you're an independent contractor? No, right? Do you get paid for vacation time when you're an independent contractor? Everybody? No, right? But you can make as much money as you want. Do you get to deduct expenses from your income when you're an independent contractor? Yes. See, that's a beautiful thing because if you're a true business person, you want to pay as less in taxes as you can, right? You want to be able to deduct what it's going to cost you to run this business. So one of the things that you need to know under this section of independent contractor versus employee, right, is that first of all, for the IRS to treat you as an independent contractor under the qualified real estate agent category, right, there are three requirements. The first one is you have to have a current real estate license. Number two, you must have a written contract with the broker that specifies that the sales associate will not be treated as an employee for federal tax purposes. So is it a little bit of a pain that you have to keep track of your income and then maybe pay the IRS quarterly so that you don't run into any issues? Yes, I'm not gonna lie, it is a little bit of a pain, but if you do it and do it the right way and stay on top of it, you'll be a happy person, because in the long run, you won't have problems with your taxes. Number three, a substantial portion of the sales associate's income as a real estate professional must be based on sales production or other output and not on the number of hours worked, right? So can a real estate broker tell you, oh, you have to be in the office at 9 a.m. Monday through Friday and work at least till 7 p.m. Monday through Friday? No, they can't tell you that. Can they tell you exactly how to do something and then demand that you do it exactly that way? No, but can they say, hey, if you want to work here, you have to have 2 closings a month. If you want to be on my team as a team member, you have to have 2 closings a month. Can they say that? Yes, right? They just can't give you specifics, step-by-step processes and make you do it. So like if you're an employee or let's say I'm the employee and I work for you, you can tell me, hey, Rob, here's the procedures. This is what I want you to do. Step 1, step 2, step 3. I want you to do this every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, here's the other procedures and guidebook. I want you to do this, boom, 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 exactly like this, and run these reports and bum, 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 bum. As an employee, you can tell me that. As an independent contractor, you can give me suggestions. You can tell me, hey, here's how I would definitely try to do it. Here's our procedures. This is usually the best way to do it. But you can't tell me, oh, Rob, I want you to sit at the desk here every day for this amount of time period, and you can only take 2 15-minute breaks and 1 half-an-hour lunch. And if you leave early, we no longer need you, and that sort of thing. Because independent contractors, you can't treat that way. So who's got questions between employees versus independent contractors? Because that's a pretty important thing. Any questions or discussion items? All right, how about brokers' compensation? So what is the starting rate? How much does your broker have to pay you? Minimum wage, what is it? And what is the minimum wage for the state of Connecticut? Anybody know? Nobody knows? No one's on this class knows the minimum wage?
Is it 10 something an hour?
11.
Right? I don't know. But do you have to, if I'm working for you, you're my real estate broker, do you have to pay me at least minimum wage? No. In fact, there's some agents, and I do not want to be a Debbie Downer, right? I'm not a pessimistic person, but there's some agents, they work their butt off for the first 1 or 2 months. They don't make any money at all. Like they make 0. It can happen. You can start off and you could be that agent that the first year in business, you make 100 grand. And if you're on my team, I definitely help you do that. Right? And you will not be the first real estate agent to ever do that, but that's a very hard thing to do. Or you can be one of those agents where it takes you 1, 2, 3 months to kind of get things going, and you're that person that you want to learn and know every single little thing before you move forward. And in the long run, that kind of hurts you a little bit, but that's all right. That's, I could be like that sometimes myself. but you know, it's a sales gig, it's a numbers gig, it's a personality, it's going out and talking with people. So there is no minimum. Is there a minimum for amount of commission? No. You know, you might be like, well, Rob, really, what do people start at? You know, there's no number. And I can tell you, you can start at one company and you can make 45% commission split between you and the broker, or you can go and make 85%. So the 85% sounds a lot better, right? What do you think? What's the question? What's the answer? It depends. What is it?
I think there's a catch.
Right? It depends on exactly what are they going to give you? Because if you're a new agent, right? So, and again, I'm not trying to push my team in particular. I'm just showing you the basics. The basics are is that my team agents, they don't pay for me to help them to be their mentor, to be their coach on a team that's ranked in the top 2% of the country. No lie. In Berkshire Hathaway, there's 52,000 agents, and the Rosa team, we're in the top 2% of the country. So we're in the top 1,000 agents. Okay, they don't pay me because Berkshire Hathaway pays me to train. But there's some other companies or even other teams on Berkshire Hathaway where they're going to say, oh yeah, you need to get a mentor. And every time you have a closing, you have to pay that mentor. Or maybe other companies, you have to pay $150 a month or $300 a month or $800 a month. Or maybe some companies, like if you get a listing as an example, you get a new home that's going to sell. Well, we're going to put up the sign for you. We're going to put it on all these different websites automatically. We're going to do this, and this, right? But you have to pay a little bit for that stuff. Or you can go to some company that they say they're giving you 80%, and then you're going to be like, okay, I got this new listing. What do I do? And all these agents are going to be running around. They'll be like, oh yeah, just go do that over there. You know, first you got to call up that place over there. You got to order the sign, and they're going to be walking by you, right? Because they're not going to do everything for it. I mean, no lie. And then I will move on the subject. But I had my own real estate company for 12 years, and if I wanted to, I mean, I could decide, okay, I'm going to go to the state of Connecticut tomorrow, pay $25. And boom, go start my own real estate company again and call it whatever I want, right? But I see the value in a company like Berkshire Hathaway with everything they give us. And then, of course, do I have to pay them a split on every single closing? Of course I do. But to me, it's worth it in order to be part of a system that's bigger and better. So there's a lot of different things involved. There, you could get paid by flat fee. You can get paid by hourly rate. There's a bunch of different ways in which you can get paid. One of the things you're probably going to have to do if you're with any company that's really out there doing business is you're going to have to join the MLS. So who knows? What's the MLS?
Multiple listing service.
And what is the MLS? What is it? What's on there?
Everything that's for sale on all brokers, not like FSBOs, but
yeah.
And I don't know, are FSBOs on there? No.
It depends on how you define a FSBO, right? Because there are people out there. So that's a great question. Can you, if you're a FSBO, what does FSBO stand for those people, you know, to help out the people who might not know? What's that stand for?
For sale by owner.
For sale by owner. So if you are selling your house on your own 1,000%, can you put it on the MLS?
I don't know.
So technically you can't. But what some FSBOs try to do is they get involved with an agent who's going to do an exclusive agency agreement, which basically means that they retain the right, the seller, to sell it on their own, but it's going to be put on the MLS. So if a real estate agent gets involved, then they'll have to pay a fee, right? And so that's how that works. And do you see everything that's on the MLS? Do you see it on Zillow or Realtor.com or HomeSnap or Trulia or Homes.com? Do you see all the information that's on the MLS?
No.
No. And I wanted to make sure I said this today because there was an agent that's a brand new agent and they were saying, oh, I don't have to, why do I have to join the MLS? I have everything on realtor.com. I said, okay, when you go to make an offer, where do you go? Is there a certain website? It tells about it on the MLS. When you want to find out exactly how much each unit in the 3 family is paying for rent and what kind of leases do they have, are you able to get that info? No, but it has it on the MLS. When you want to find out, okay, has this home been recorded to have the crumbling foundation issue? What are the disclosures about that? Do you see that on Zillow, Realtor.com, Trulia, Homes.com? No, you have to go to the MLS. So the whole point is that if your broker is part of the MLS, which almost all brokers are, unless they're kind of like that one person show that they're going to be a non-member and not join and all that good stuff. But if your broker belongs, you have to belong. Okay. So does that make sense to everybody? Now, actually, I don't want to skip over one important point. What else is in the MLS that you want to know if you're working with buyers? Anybody know?
Can you repeat that question, Rob?
Yep. What else is on the MLS that you want to know if you're working with buyers? How much you're going to get paid. So does it tell you on Zillow, Realtor.com, Homes.com, how much you're going to get paid if you bring a buyer? No. But on the MLS, it shows that, because if you're a member of the MLS, it's almost like a triangular agreement that you have between the parties. It's between the buyer's agent or broker, the seller's agent or broker, and the MLS. And if whatever number is put in there, that's a part of our agreement, our association agreement terms, that whatever number is put in there, that's what you get paid if you bring a buyer, if you have procuring cause. So that's the next section or next part that you need to know about being the procuring.
If you if the price, does the price differ, make a difference of how much you get paid? Like, say if it was like 150,000 for the house, does the amount you get paid change?
Yes. So here's the whole point. There's always exceptions, but 99% of the time, your compensation is based upon the sales price, right? There are some exceptions, like let's say a rental. For a lot of times a rental, when it depends on what the listing agent signs with the either the seller or the landlord. So like, let's say you're the listing agent most of the time. If you're dealing with a landlord, you're going to do 1 month's rent. So what are you usually going to offer whoever brings the tenant? You're going to usually offer them a half a month's rent, right? Or it could be that you're offering $500. It could be that you're offering 2%, 2.5%, 3% of what the purchase price is. It could be that you're going to offer, very rarely, but once in a while, you'll be like, oh, they're offering $2,500, no matter what the price is. But then sometimes you see in the MLS, oh, wow, if we get a contract signed by June 30th, they're going to give a $2,000 bonus to the buying broker. So it depends on a lot of different things.
Rob, quick question.
Yep.
Doing rentals or leases, is there a broker involved with that? Or a broker fee? Because if you're helping someone rent a house, if you choose that aspect of it, and you're finding tenants for people, do you really need a broker?
What do you mean if you're like, well, it depends on what perspective you're coming from. So there are landlords that really don't want to deal with it, right? They're busy. They're a vice president at Cigna. They're a pastor at a church, but they own investment property, and they'd rather just have an agent deal with it all, right? So it just depends on the perspective that you're coming with. But if you're getting paid, if you're asking me, well, do you have to be a real estate agent? You're not supposed to be out there. If you're getting paid on a transaction, like renting out a space for someone else, you're supposed to have your license. So I'm not sure if that answers the question. Was there a different view or different perspective that you had about it?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I just meant like if that happens, like if you sell a house, you and the broker split some type of commission. If you're managing someone's apartments and you're finding tenants for them, is the broker taking a cut of what you're getting as well? Or how does that work?
So it totally depends on the scenario and the agreement that you have with your broker. But remember, once you get your license, you're held to a higher standard, and you're not supposed to get any money from any kind of real estate transaction unless it comes from your broker. It's actually against the law to do that anyways. But yes, and that's where I think, April, you're kind of getting into the whole thing about being a property manager and when do you have to have a license and how does that work? And there's a whole unit on that. We'll be going over that soon. But remember, I try to keep it as simple as possible. Otherwise, it can get really pretty tricky. And so the way I look at it is if someone's getting paid based upon a real estate transaction, whether renting or selling or buying, that money's supposed to go to your broker, and then your broker's supposed to give you your split, unless you have different arrangements. Does anybody else have any other questions on that? Okay, so what does it mean to be a procuring cause? A little tricky on the lips there. Procuring cause. What does that mean?
So yeah, textbook definition, the broker or the broker sales associate must have started an uninterrupted chain of events that resulted in a sale.
That's right. Started an uninterrupted chain of events. So, I mean, are you due a commission just because if you show somebody a house and then that's it? No, it's a chain of events. But if you do show them the house and then you make sure they're pre-qualified and then you write up an offer and then the offer gets accepted and then you help them follow up on making sure an inspection is done and boom, 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 all the steps of the transaction, then you were the procuring cause. You started an uninterrupted chain of events, right, that resulted in a sale, right? And you basically brought an offer from a ready, willing, and able buyer. Okay, so I'm going to ask you a very tricky question. When do you earn your commission? When do you
Earn it or
it?
get
The broker
paid?
gets theirs.
Closing.
In the closing?
So remember, that would be pretty simple, right? Remember, I said tricky. So not when do you get your commission, when do you earn it?
Oh, closing.
When you bring a ready, willing, and able buyer who's prepared to buy on the seller's terms and have a consummation of the transaction. Sounds pretty wild, right? Have a consummation of the transaction. Because now my next question is, can you ever be due your commission, but there was no closing? See where I'm going with this? So are you ever due your commission? Like, hey, you know, I was supposed to make $4,283 from this and I want my money.
Yes, if they back out, correct? But they were already in contract?
That's right, exactly. So that's where they give you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bullet points you need to be familiar with. So they like to say, they did this a few years back. They said we're not supposed to use closing anymore. We're supposed to say consummated or consummation. So if the transaction is not consummated, the real estate broker, now remember, it doesn't say salesperson, it says broker, because all the money is supposed to go to the broker who's then supposed to pay you, may still be entitled to a commission if the seller has a change of mind and refuses to sell, has a spouse who refuses to sign the deed. Like maybe the spouse signed the purchase and sale agreement, but now they're mad, they're fighting, they do it retaliatory, and they refuse to sign the deed. Has a title with uncorrected defects, right? Like they knew that there was an issue where there was an easement on the property, and they didn't disclose that, and they were supposed to get it fixed, but they didn't. Committed fraud, is unable to deliver possession within a reasonable time. Insists on terms not in the listing, right? Has a mutual agreement with the buyer to cancel the transaction, because maybe they say, hey, let's cancel this transaction with the real estate agents, and then we'll meet up in a week or two. We'll do our own little contract and we'll sign it there. That way I don't have to pay the commission. Right? So there's a lot of sneaky and crazy things that happen. Now, I've never, as a broker, had to have to sue a seller to get paid without having the closing. But guess what? We kind of had to, a couple of times, kind of had to threaten it a little bit. Because once in a great while, and I mean, out of 19 years, I'm talking maybe 2 or 3 times, things get a little bit hairy, and all of a sudden, you and the seller, maybe there's not 1,000% amount of trust there. Things feel a little bit weird, you know? So who's got questions on those points? Anyone? Okay, we're gonna get ready to do some math in a little while, in a few minutes. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about commissions, right? And how much you should be getting paid as a salesperson, and you know, different ways of getting paid. So the first one is, like we talked about, commissions can be all over the place. So the most simple one is the whole thing about, hey, here's how much my rate is, and that's it, right? So let's talk about this. I'm going to pull out the wonderful world of the whiteboard, and we get to do some math. All right. So let me do a little screen sharing here. Okay. So survey says put this over to the side. All right. So let's say the house is being sold for $325,000 or $350,000, because I wrote a 5 there quick. Right? So that's what the purchase price. Okay. Now, how is it determined what the commission or service fee is? How does that usually get determined?
You work it out with the,
So,
I mean, seller.
yep, go ahead. I'm sorry, April. Go ahead.
You work it out with the seller, how much your fee with them is going to be. It can be negotiable, and then it depends if you sell the house that you also listed versus if you're doing it for like 2.5% or something, whatever it's going for. That another realtor has suggested they will pay you if you can sell this house.
Right? So usually, you might want to write this down in April. That was really good. You're pretty much there, right? Usually the seller and the listing agent, will agree upon the total service fee, right? The seller and the listing agent. Now, I've seen everything from 4% to 8%. So let's just say it's going to be 6%. Okay. And let's just say the listing agent decides, because they're usually the ones who decide, it's going to be 3% to the seller broker, right? And it's going to be 3% to the buyer broker. Does that make sense to everybody? So on that $350,000 house, how much is the total commission amount?
21,000.
Everybody got that? 350,000 times 6% is 21,000. That's the total. So the seller's broker is going to get how much?
10.5.
Seller broker 10,500, right? Buyer broker 10,500.
Hey, Rob, I have a question.
Yes.
So when you're selling a house, you don't have a control. So you have two real estate involved in it. You have the buyer real estate and the seller real estate, right? You can make agreement with the seller real estate to be 1%. You don't. It's not the minimum that you can pay 3%, right? But for the buyer, you can't play with the percentage. The minimum is going to be 3%.
Well, there's no minimum or maximum for anything.
Okay.
Yup. So yes, you can play and move around the numbers whatever you want. So by state law, we have to say there's no minimum or maximum for anything. But
Okay.
this example we're going through here is pretty typical.
Okay.
Right? Now, let's say you're a brand new agent, right? And I will tell you straightforwardly, a lot of brand new agents, you get paid 50-50 until you start bringing in some money, until you start learning everything and all that good stuff. But let's say you really gave a good interview and you told them, you pumped up that broker. You said, oh man, I'm going to be working my butt off and I'm going to bring in some money in this office and I'm pumped up and I want 55%. So the broker's like, okay, we usually don't do this, which is true, but we'll give you 55%. So you, as the let's say salesperson, are going to get 55%, which leaves how much for the broker?
45%.
45%. So how much is the broker going to get?
Well, 1%
47,
is going
25.
to be 1,500. So multiply it by 5, you're going to have 6,000. So it's going to be 6,000 by 4,500.
Okay. Or just so you know, so we can make things easy, which is good. I appreciate that. But what you want to do is you're going to be in the middle of the state exam and you don't want to be totally stressed. So we got to know that you're going to take 10,500 times 45% or 0.45. And that's going to be what? $4,725. And then as the salesperson, you're going to take 10,500 times 55% or 0.55,
100.
right?
1,775.
5,075. You see, does that make sense to everyone? Okay, who's got questions on this? All right, get out your piece of paper and your calculator. Anybody got questions on this? Going once, going twice. All right. So we're going to sell a house for $218,000. Right? The terms are that it was a 5.75% listing agreement. Right? The listing agent, the listing broker, they're offering 2.50% to the buyer broker. Okay. You work for the listing broker. So you work for a listing broker. Okay. How much money are you going to make? So I'm going to give you a few minutes to try to figure that out, my friends. So I'm going to give you 3 minutes and then we'll go over it together. But this could be an example of what you're going to have on your state exam. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Does somebody have a question? All right.
$6,721
Do you like 6721?
and a few cents.
Okay. Dot, dot, dot. But remember, every penny counts, but that's good that you came up with a number. And we're going to do it together. Anybody else got any other numbers that don't match that?
3896.75.
3896.75. Okay. Anybody else got any numbers? Gonna wait one more minute. All right, so let's go over this together. So if I'm gonna do this, the first step I'm gonna do is try to figure out how much the full amount is, right? So I'm gonna do 218,000 times 8000 times 5.75%, right? Which is going to give me 12,535. Okay, that's the total commission. Okay, now I work for the listing broker. So I'm going to actually get how much? Technically, it's 5.75, right? Minus 2.5 equals what? 3.25. Everybody got that? So technically, my broker, right? My listing broker, they're going to get what? 12,535 times 3.25%. 12,535 times. How come my numbers seem weird? What am I doing wrong here? Why am I feeling like something's not right? Oh, what am I doing? 12,535 times 0.325. Oh, I was doing something wrong. Okay. 4073.875. That's how much what? That's how much the listing broker is going to get. Does that make sense? Who's got questions on that? Does that seem right to you? No, this is not right.
No, the
This is
broker
not
would
right.
get 45% of the 12,535, right?
Yes, I'm so sorry. You got wait. Yes. I'm so sorry. I'm getting even myself confused there.
Hey, Rob.
Yes, I'm sorry, you guys. Let's
Rob.
do it again. Yes.
Can we do it? It's like as a buyer because you have 5.75, right?
Yeah, I want there to be a difference. I want there to be a difference. That's what I'm doing, because that's what's going to happen. What's going to happen in the real world. So it's really technically it's this. And I want to be able to backtrack my numbers. That's why I'm getting that's why I got myself even confused. It's really 218. Oops. 218. Come on. Get that text out of the way. No. Maybe that'll leave me alone. Draw. Sorry, guys. We're getting it. We're getting it. I knew it didn't seem right once I started typing it up. Right? So it's really 218 times 3.25%. So this is the point where I really wanted to get to. And I was so focused on getting you to be thinking about these two numbers that I messed myself up on that other thing. But you see here, just remember, it doesn't always have to be shared. It doesn't always have to be even on both sides. And that's where they can trick you. So remember, the listing broker, they signed the agreement for 5.75, right? They're going to give 2.5 to the buyer broker, which equates or leaves off or leaves left 3.25 to the listing broker. Does that make sense to everybody? And I apologize for that little mistake. Who's got questions on that? Anybody have questions on that? And that's why I underlined this listing broker to give you 55%. You work for the listing broker. So now we have one more calculation. The 7085 times your 55%. I know I'm messing myself up here. I just don't want to retype it. So 7085 times 0.55 gives you 3896.75. So whoever said that was exactly right. And that's how that works. So how do you feel about it? Do you want to do another one? Who's got questions on that? Because that gets a little bit tricky. But see, you can very easily have a question like this on the state exam. Anybody? Go ahead.
Can we do another one?
Yes, definitely. So does anybody need to save this? All right. So let's do another one. Hopefully this time we'll get it. We'll all do it correct, including myself. All right. So now a house gets sold for $227,000. Okay. Listing agreement is 6%. Buyer broker to receive 2.5%, and you get 60% from her. All right, so how much money are you going to get? So let me give you 2 minutes, take your time, and hopefully between all of us, we'll get it right and we'll get it done.
And we're with the listing agent, right? Not the buyer.
Well, what does that say? Buyer broker, right, to receive 2.5%, and you get 6% from her, right? That's the trickiness of it. Yeah, and I don't blame you for asking, but you see, that's how they're going to trick you on the state exam. So you got to know you're only always getting money from your broker. You can't get any money from anybody else. I'm gonna give you another minute.
I think I have it. I'm not sure.
What do you got for a number?
$3,405.
Okay, we'll put that down here on the bottom right. Anybody else get a different number?
I got the same thing.
All right, so let's do it together. Hopefully the ones hopefully you guys can keep me on track, right? So technically, if we want to, do it the right way, we're going to do 227, 0, 0, 0, and we're going to do times what?
%2.5%.
Yep. Which equals
Jesus. 5,675.
right, 5,675. Then what's the next step?
60%.
Yep. 4.6 gives you what?
3,405.
There you go. So who's got questions on that? Seems a lot easier now, right? So this is what I want you to do. I think we need to keep on rolling, but I'm going to give you a quick little tip. And you can go over it with Matt, or you can wait till you go over it with me. At the end of your, well, you know what, maybe we should do one. I think we should do one because I think a little bit. At the end of your unit, there's questions, right? Which you all know that by now. But if you look at question number 14, I know some of you might not be able to see it right now. That's okay. But if you were to look at question number 14, that's the whole question about graduated commissions. Most agencies will not do that, but some do. And so we have to be a little bit familiar with that. So let's talk about graduated commissions. Okay. So here's how it's going to be a little bit crazy. So let's go over that. I'm just trying to get my bearings on this wonderful thing here. Make myself some extra room. Okay. So the example is that, let me clear this. The more money you bring into the office, the higher split you get. That's what they want you to know. That's what they want you to learn. That's what it's really all about. So we're going to give you an example and we'll talk about it. So the whole point is that you actually have multiple parts, multiple computations. Okay. So again, you sell a house for $263,000. And your client, your broker says to you, here's what the agreement is. You're going to get, let's say, 35% for any amount that is from 0 to 2,000. Really, it's technically, it would be at 2,500. Now remember, this is talking about check or bringing, just so you can understand it, because I want you to do that question number 14, bringing check in office. So remember, you're going to the closing, you get the check, you bring it to the office. Now you can't wait for your broker to pay you. Well, if you're on this graduated commission split, it's going to get a little bit tricky, right? And so you've agreed to this, that you're going to get 35% on any amount between 0 and 2,500. And you're going to get 45% on any amount that's from 2,000, technically 01, to 7,500. I only know a few agencies that do this because you know what? It gets a little bit tricky. And then you're going to get 60% on any amount that's 7,501 plus. So how much money are you getting? So does everybody understand where I'm going with this so far? All right, and let's just say, as an example, you know, you brought in, it was a 3%. You brought 3% commission. You brought in. Okay. So you want to do this together and then you could do one on your own? Yes, no, or do you already know the answer? Who thinks they already know the answer? No one? A little tricky, right? Okay, so the first thing is we got to figure out the total amount of commission. So what do? We do 263,000 times 3%, which equals what? $7,890. So that's the amount of check you brought into the office. So how are you going to calculate what you're going to get?
60% of that.
Well, remember, you're only getting paid certain percentages on each amount.
So you get your 35% off the first 2,500.
Yep. And then 45% off of basically $5,000, right? Or $4,999. And then 60% off the amount of that. So how would we do this? So the first calculation is going to be what? Technically, it's going to be 22,500 times 35% equals what? What do you got? $875, right? So that's the first calculation. Because remember, it's a graduated tier. Or actually, I should write it maybe this way. It's like maybe this picture will help you. You know, you're going to get this amount of money, then you bring that, and it's a graduated tier. And every time you bring in more money into the office, you get paid more. So then the second one is technically, you know, depends how you look at it. It's just that I don't understand why sometimes they do the same number, but it really should be 4,999. So who knows, how did I get that number, 4,999?
Is a subtract 7,890 minus 2,500, and whatever you left is 4,999.
Well, what I did is I
subtract your 75 by 2,501.
Exactly. I subtracted 7,500. Oops. Minus 2,501. Right? That gives me 4,999. And then I'm going to multiply that times what? 45% equals what? Did everybody get 2249?
Yes, 55. Say.
Yep, 55. I know my fives, they don't look good. Sorry. And then we got one more calculation to do. What is it going to be? It's technically going to be 7,890 minus what? Why 78? Here's the total amount. 7,890 minus 7,501. 7,890 minus 7,501 gives me $389 left times 60%. See, this is 8 brokers who really want you to work on really higher listings, right? They want you to work on higher listings, and they want you to bring in the more money you bring in, the higher split I'll give you, and that's 233.4. So then you add this plus this plus this. So let's do that quick. 875 plus 2249.55 plus 233.4 equals 3,357.95. Make sense? Who's got questions on that? Let's look at something really quick. See, so the first 2,500, then that, then that. So, I mean, it's basically, let's see if you end up making more money. What if you were just to get 50%? So if we just do a whole nother one where it's 263,000. Oh, it's, basically it's going to be 7,890 because we already got that. So if you do 7,890 times 50%, if your split was 50%, you'd be making 3,945. So in that particular case, you kind of got burnt. But see, that's the difference example between this one and that one. Everybody see that? The broker makes more money that way. Some of these brokers can get a little bit slick, and the harder they make it, the more trickier that's what you run into. Does anybody want to do one of these over? Do you want to do one of these on your own? So I would tell you, at the end of your unit, questions number 12, 13, and 14 are pretty important because you're going to at least get 1 or 2 math questions on this. They want to make sure that brokers and salespeople are not arguing and bringing it to court, you know, arbitration or the commission about who should be getting paid and how much. Do you want to do another one of these together? Or you want to keep moving forward in the unit?
One more. Forward. Oh.
Let's do it. All right. Okay. So let's see here. $271,000. You're going to get, your broker is getting 2.5% commission. Right? And so what you're going to get is you're going to get 35% from 0 to 2,100. Okay, dollars. And then you're going to get 50% from 2,101 to 4,999. Then you're going to get 65% on any amount that's 5,000 plus. Okay, so I'll give you a moment to do it.
Is it $3,387.50? And so, yeah, for the 50%.
What do you mean 50%? I'm sorry. I have to check it out. We'll have to do it together.
Okay.
You're good. You're like kicking butt. You're almost already done.
I could be wrong.
No, that's all right. At least you're trying, right? All right. So hopefully you're done by now, or you should be close. Anybody need another minute? All right. So the first step I have down here, hopefully that's right. Seems right. 271,000 times 2.5% gives us a total commission. You're going to be bringing that check into the office for $6,775. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yes.
All right. So if we move forward here, the first number is it's over. The way that I look at it with these graduated tiers, okay, it's over 2,100. So I know in my first calculation, I'm going to get 2,100 times 35% equals what? 2,100 times 35%. Is that $735? Everyone with me?
Mm-hmm.
Then I know, then I have to figure out, okay, well, what's the difference for, because it's over 4,000, you see 6,775, it's over 4,999. So 4,999 minus what? 2,101 equals what? 4,999 minus 2,101 equals 2,898. Does that make sense to everyone? I know it's tricky. Times what? 50% equals, so 2,898 times 50% gives me $1,449. Oh Lord. Okay, let's try that again. $1,449. Okay, so you see that second one? Now, the next one, which again, 6,775 is over 5 grand, but by how much? So just to put this over here, it's going to be 6,775 minus 5,000. So what is that? 6,775 minus 5,000 equals what? 1,000. Right? 775 times what? 65% equals, so 1,775 times 65%, 1,153.75. Oops, we're almost there. Eraser. Oh, no. Sometimes when there's a slowdown on the computer, it just messes me up. Okay, so we're going to do this plus this equals what? So 735 plus 1,449 plus 1,153.75 equals, does everyone have 3,337.75? Whew, you guys got me working hard today. What do you think? Who's got questions on that? We just hope we don't get a question like this on the state exam, right? You can say it out loud. It's okay. I'm not going to tell anyone. All right. So that's that whole thing under the section of brokers' compensation. Then it talks about sales associated compensation. And remember, what is this called? Graduated commission splits. It's in your book, right? Graduated commission splits. That's what we just went over, and I'm more than happy. You know, of course, we'll have Matt on Thursday. He'll help you, or if you need me to go over it with you, I'll go over it with you next class too. It's up to you, whatever questions you have. So before I erase this, what kind of questions do you have?
When you say you bring in the check, does that mean down payment?
No, we're talking about that you went to the closing and the lawyers gave you the check for the closing.
Gotcha.
Okay, yep, no problem. Good questions. Anybody else?
Bob, you said lawyer. Is the state of Connecticut do lawyers or a title company?
In the state of Connecticut, they use title companies for title searches, but you need to have a lawyer.
So lawyers
We don't
doing
use
it.
the Torrens. We don't use the Torrens system, so the lawyers are the ones who record the documents in each town hall.
That got me confused too, because in the state of Texas, they don't have lawyers. They do have a title company.
Yep, same thing in Florida. Or you don't have to have a lawyer. In the state of Connecticut, you have to have a lawyer, right? And then they actually work with the title companies in order to do title searches and title insurance.
So for the graduated commission splits, the 3375, is it for each? You don't have to split that. That's what each is taking.
Well, no, because remember, this is what you're bringing, the 6775. You're bringing that check into the office to give to the broker, right? And then your broker is going to do these 3 steps. 1, 2, 3. They're going to do these 3 steps in order to do this. But I can tell you, the vast majority of brokers, they don't do this. To me, it's kind of like just feels not. It just gets too tricky. And before you know it, you don't even know how much you're getting paid. All right. So what we're going to do, and I know you might have feel like we didn't get far, but we actually learned a lot today. We went through what you need to do as far as your target, for what you need to do after you take my final, which showed you the website, showed you the bulletin, and then we did a bunch of math on this unit. And I can tell you, like we saw in the outline, this is a very important unit. So where I'm going to tell Matt, he's going to be like, well, what did you go over? And I'm going to be like, hey, listen, we kind of went over the basics of the math. And I'm going to have him take off where the limited services offered are. Limiting services offered, which is probably about the same place where he left off before. But this is a really important unit for you to go over. I don't want to give you a page number necessarily because, everybody's using something different. But that's the basics of the real estate brokerage and understanding the commission and how that works. What I'm also going to do, and I'm trying my best because I start feeling guilty that I'm not able to edit things out. I'm going to get rid of the guilt, just so you know, and I'm going to put this on the YouTube website.